Good evening, Bear County. This is Jag from Bear County Severe Weather, and I have my coworker or my colleague Martin, and he's going to help us out to see what's going on currently outside and give us some additional information on the current conditions. Martin, how's it
Uh,
going?
Oh, it's going great. How are you doing?
Doing
Staying,
good.
are you staying in warm, staying out of the little
Yeah,
bouncy things?
try to get out of the house and trying to stay inside, and because it's kind of slippery out there. So I'm already see some activity on the radar there, starting
Oh,
to
yeah.
pick up a little bit. So let's go ahead and give it to you so you can give us some updates on what's going on.
All right. Good evening. This is Bear County Severe Weather. We're on January 31st, 2023. As you can probably tell, it's cold out there. You got a little cold, and we are going through it. Now, throughout the day, you've probably been wondering where's the cold at? Where are we hiding at? So, let's take a quick look at the radar and see what we got going on here. As you can see, it does not look like much. Actually, it's falling down towards the southeast, maybe towards the Kennedy, Carnes City area, Floresville. As you can see, on the top, we got the plain Jane radar, and the bottom, we have our nice little software is taking a look at it and letting us know what it is. Where you see the pink area is where we got the ice going on. As you can see, we are starting to get some decent returns on there. And if we look at our regional outlook, which is over here on this side of the screen, as you can see, the entire area is on some kind of alert. In that area right now, we are in the low 30s, 34, just hovering right about there in the Carnes City area. Moving up here, we have some of the Wilson County region going on. And let's go ahead and clear this up a little bit so we can get a better view on that. Up in here, as we look down at Stinson Field, we are at 36 right now as of 30 minutes ago. Over at Kelly, we are at 34, and the airport is hovering at around freezing as of 30 minutes ago, so we can expect about a minute or two drop there. As you can see, we're starting to see some of the rainfall the cold rain falling along the south and the east side of Bear County. We'll go ahead and take a quick peek here so we can zoom in on that here. We can see the motion. So you can see it's over by the China Grove area. So it's either going to be cold rain or it's going to be getting to the ground and melting right now. Of course, as it gets a little bit further up, closer towards Berlin, Stray Ranch area, or over towards Randolph, that's where we're going to start to see the issues. As you can see right along here near the Converse area, the last few images, you see little bits of radar returns showing to us that we have this stuff is showing up on there, and it is starting to it will be start to accumulate and become a problem for us, especially since the temperatures are expected to drop as we go later on into the night. Now, as we've been looking at here region wide, you can see that we got a freeze line basically cutting through the north part of Bear County, working its way over towards north of Medina, all the way up to the Four Sisters Ranch, up into Riel County. So if you're in Bandera, you're already below freezing. Anything up there will be coming down as ice on there. Now, as always, the weather is always changing and it's always updating. What we can see here is the latest up radar models from the HER. It's been one of the ones that's updated most recently, taking all the information on here. And then right in this area where I have the is where San Antonio is. And if you look right, I'll put this right underneath the county so you can see what I'm talking about. As you can see in some of the pictures, we will go ahead and pause it right along there. It's hinting that there's going to be that little band is going to set up and there's going to be ice to actually the south and east. Of course, we're going to have to see how things develop because we are not exactly certain that'll be the exact point. It could be a couple of miles north or south, but it's saying that there's going to be some ice right in there, some frozen rain as you look over here. If that's the case, then we're going to be running into some conditions, especially if this spreads a little bit further north, more into the center part of the county, then we could start seeing some ice accumulate along the roads in the San Antonio area. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the model sounding. just to take a look at what the conditions are. And as you can see right there from the center of the county, we still have this big warm area on this section here. That is why, if you remember earlier, we were posting that it's a big warm area that's not letting it snow. It's raining, it's falling through here, melting, and then freezing again. Here's a little spot where it drops below freezing and it turns back into ice, and that's why South Texas is known for having frozen temperatures down here and having a warm area that melts it. So we get ice storms, we don't get snow down here. And with the conditions here, I'll go ahead and pass it over to Jag and let him take over.
Well, and as he mentioned here, we already starting to see some freezing rain and drizzle to the southeast. So it's probably a good idea to go ahead and mention that we have a winter storm warning in effect until Thursday, 6 a.m. So just want to let you know that we are still under that winter storm warning. And so since Martin started to hint on the temperature starting to cool down and we have that precipitation out there, let's go ahead and bring up the Drive Texas map that's currently showing that we're doing okay here in San Antonio. We all roads are nice and green for the most part, but as you start heading off to the northeast past New Braunfels, you start seeing this gray, which is showing the uh, roads starting to get some ice and snow accumulations. And then as you get into the Austin area, you definitely start seeing pretty much the entire city is covered, at least the roads, the major roads and expressways out there are covered with snow and ice. And then we could just kind of just zoom out a little bit more. And you can definitely see that Dallas is just not doing so well as well. In fact, we have the cameras set up so we can go ahead and bring up some camera views from the Dallas area, and I was looking at some of these earlier, and you can just see how just the roads are just simply impassable up there. And there's barely one or two vehicles that are driving, and those that are very brave to go ahead and face that. But that just basically segues back to how between tonight and tomorrow, if it's at all possible, we highly, highly, highly suggest you stay home. The roads are not going to be travel friendly. So unless it's an emergency of some sort, we definitely very much suggest that you stay home. Speaking of travel, we're going to go ahead and take you out of this, and we're going to go into the airports. And so far, from what we can see, this is the latest FAA airport status, showing that all the airports in Texas are green. Earlier, we saw that DFW was red, but at this point, it's starting to look like everything's coming back to normal for now. However, if you do have any flights leaving San Antonio, you may want to check with your not only San Antonio airport, but also with your particular carrier to make sure that your flight is scheduled to leave on time, or if it's been canceled or delayed. So there is the Drive Texas and the FAA information. But what we're going to do now is we're going to start recapping what we have, and we're going to put this in a way that you guys can see it a little better. So we're going to recap what we have right now. So we have a winter storm warning again till Thursday at 6 a.m. So that includes the entire county. So as we move forward, what kind of temperatures are we expecting tonight? We're looking at maybe upper 20s to low 30s for tonight into Wednesday morning. Uh, that'll definitely be what we need for any precipitation to fall, to freeze on contact with surfaces, especially elevated surfaces like bridges and overpasses. So definitely be another cold night. Make sure you take care of the four P's: people, plants, pets, and pipes. So we want to make sure that everybody there is taken care of and make sure that everybody is warm and comfy. And then looking at the ice accumulation totals, this is why we are saying that unless it's absolutely positively necessary, that y'all stay home because the latest ice accumulations are showing the more dense accumulations toward the north. And I would say somewhere between Elotes to around Shirts or so northward would be looking at a quarter inch to half an inch of ice on elevated surfaces, perhaps. Lower than that, down to where 410 is, you're looking at 100s to 1/10 of an inch, and then lesser amounts that you head southward down the county. So obviously anything in the orange and yellow is more precarious, but frankly, any glazing of ice anywhere on the roadways will be potentially or could be potentially dangerous. So as we look into why freezing rain is the worst, because it can form on pavement. And if you absolutely have to drive out tomorrow, just watch out for any falling branches or power lines. And again, we urge extreme caution if you need to travel during these conditions, though we highly recommend that you don't. Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah, so I'm gonna jump in here. I've been looking at the model, looking at Dallas. They are looks like they're gonna be having a break throughout the night, but around 5 to 6 a.m. is when we're gonna start seeing the ice built back into the DFW area. So, especially you have a flight tomorrow, and you're gonna brave it, or you're connecting through Dallas or any of the Dallas fields, just be aware of that. Check in advance because once the morning hits, the models are predicting that they fill back in throughout the evening.
Yeah, this event is probably going to be lasting pretty much all day through tomorrow, off and on. And then, if depending on the temperature, if you happen to live in an area that the temperature doesn't rise above freezing, you're pretty much stuck with this until potentially Thursday morning. And even then, probably into Thursday at noon when the temperature finally reaches above freezing, so some of this can melt. So definitely be something to think about when in terms of staying home and if you can, because travel will not be a very good idea to do. Plus, if you do happen to travel and you don't need to, we don't want to put first responders in danger to try to assist you with the situation. So let's move on to in case we lose power. It is not expected, but if power lines get ice over or a tree branch falls on the power line, there's a chance that power could go out. So make sure to close any blinds or curtains so you can keep some of that heat inside your home. Close off any rooms that you're not using so you don't avoid or you avoid wasting any heat. Wear of course, loose fitting, lightweight, warm clothing. And definitely don't forget to eat and drink. But of course, don't drink caffeine and alcohol. But we do want you to have food so that your body has energy. And finally, stuff any towels or rags under cracks under any doors. And on the other side, it's not listed here, but we would also want to encourage you to make sure your pets and then your children and elderly are also taken care of and that they're warm as well. Let's go ahead and talk about storm reports, EWX Spotter, and VOST. So, storm reports, if you happen to see any kind of major icing issues and it's safe to do so, please share your reports, pictures, and videos using the EWX Spotter hashtag on Twitter. This will assist the National Weather Service and San Antonio office to verify and validate these weather events. And then, of course, we're Bexar County severe weather, but we also have Travis County severe weather and Williamson County severe weather. So if you happen to have folks and friends and interests in those areas, you have the accounts Travis COSW and Williamson COSW. Those different accounts are just like us, but we're for Bexar County. But these guys are for Travis and Williamson. So they will be providing local updates for their areas should you want to follow them for more information. So let's go down the list of all the city, county, and state federal services. So of course, if you want to follow the National Weather Service on Twitter for their information and updates, you can do so. And of course, visit weather.gov/EWX. Bexar County is at Bexar County, or you can go to bear.org for any information they may provide for services that regard to the county. Then we have the city of San Antonio, so it's COSA.gov is on Twitter or SA.gov on the website. And of course, as we mentioned earlier, you want to follow San Antonio Airport, it's at SAT Airport, or you can go to flysanantonio.com for more information regarding the airport operations during this weather event. As we continue, if you obviously have any emergency, please dial 911. But if otherwise you have any non-emergency issues, you can follow the San Antonio Police Department at SAT Text Police, and they also have a non-emergency number of 210-207-7273. And again, if you want to follow the San Antonio Fire Department, they're a SAT Text Fire, and then their number matches the same as 210-207-7273. These are for non-emergency issues or situations. Let's go on to CPS Energy. So they're at CPS Energy and they're located on the website at cpsenergy.com. If you happen to have an outage, go ahead and dial 210-353-4357. And then for SAWS, San Antonio Water System, they're at MySAWS on Twitter or saws.org on the websites. Any SAWS related emergencies, you can report them by dialing 210-704 SAWS. And then we have Texas road conditions. The map we showed you earlier showing the different road conditions across Texas. You can find that by going to drivetexas.org. And then next up, we have our school closures and delays. So every school district you see here, except for the Alamo College District, is closed tomorrow. So Alamo College districts have remote classes and services until 10 a.m. on Thursday. Alamo Heights, East Central, Fort Sam Houston, Idea Public, Jubilee Academy, Northeast ISD, North Side ISD, San Antonio ISD, Somerset, and Southwest ISDs, they're all closed tomorrow. If we happen to not put one of your ISD or school district, school jurisdiction on this map, feel free to follow them on Twitter or go to their website for more information and updates from them. Or by now, you probably already received that information, but we wanted to get you the more common ISDs that we could find to get this taken care of in case you were not aware if they were closed tomorrow. For colleges, we have University of Texas San Antonio. They have an online format through 12 p.m. tomorrow. And University of the Incarnate Word, they're all doing also online instruction on Wednesday for day and night classes. And then finally, if I'm not mistaken, so we do have a couple of days, tomorrow into Thursday morning, where we have multiple rounds of freezing rain, and we're under potentially at the moment we're under winter storm warning, and some areas are under winter weather advisory. That'll obviously be updated as the day goes on tomorrow into Thursday. But once we get into Wednesday into Thursday, then we start getting back to normal in terms of weather. Where by Sunday, we're looking that we're back into almost 70 degrees and almost partly cloudy skies. So it's almost like we never even had this ice storm or cold weather. It's typical of Texas to have that kind of issue or kind of situation. And so that takes care of our slides. But what we want to do now is bring up the, let me move this up a little further. So this is the HRR, the HER that Martin was speaking up earlier. This is the exact same thing, but we've just blown it up to show you the Bexar County area. And as you can see, we're going to go ahead and put it into motion like he did. So you can just kind of see how this model has completely engulfed the entire Bexar County area potentially with freezing rain. Now it's kind of hard to see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it right here and I'm going to take it frame by frame to kind of give you guys a play-by-play, if you will, how things are going to look like. So right around 2 or 3 in the morning. Now keep in mind, this is a model, so this is not an exact representation of what will happen tonight. But this is generally an idea of what the model thinks will happen. So again, as you can see, we have quite a bit of freezing rain potentially from Universal City down southward past Elmendorf as we head into the overnight hours. And as you can see, boom, all of a sudden, almost the entire county is covered with freezing rain right around 4:30 into the 5 o'clock hour. Again, this is just what the model thinks. This may not happen or it may completely happen. But this model earlier was focusing most of this activity up here towards the north, leaving this area pretty much just rain, cold drained. This is the latest issue of this model, and it just completely blew up. And now it's showing a complete saturation of freezing rain pretty much for the entire county. So let's move forward. And as you can see, as we continue to push through the day, northern areas specifically, you're going to be pretty much stuck in the soup of freezing rain for the most part. You may have a little bit of a lull towards the afternoon hours, and then as we get closer to the night hours, we start seeing a little pickup of freezing rain. And then as we get closer to the end, around 4 or 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday, this all starts to push to the east. So we are not out of the woods. Tomorrow it's probably going to be the worst day of this whole event here in South Texas, especially Bexar County. We've been seeing the action to our north in Austin, Dallas, Waco, and the areas up there. Well, we're going to get our, if this model verifies, we're going to get our turn and definitely potentially see some pretty good icing. This is why we say that it's best to stay home if you can, because the roads and especially bridges and overpasses will definitely not be passable. Um, so if you have any comments, we can definitely respond to them. Any questions? But at the moment, this is all we have for our live today. We wanted to kind of put this together in a capsulized recap so that you guys got all the information you needed in one swath rather than multiple tweets. So, Martin, I'm going to bring you in here. I'm going to go ahead and bring your screen in and just kind of show the radar again and just what we had before. But it looks like if the models verify, this is definitely going to be a pretty icy situation.
Yeah, I definitely recommend do not travel. If you look over to the other one, I pulled up a different model, the Art Gym. It'll be one of the probably the same one you will see this evening. It is an older model run, so it might be updated in an hour or two by your evening newscast. But this one is also liking the northern half and eastern side of Bear County, which is right under there. That's at the 3 a.m. hour. It is liking ice and sleet to be falling over the county. As you certainly see, it holds it right as we enter the rush hour. So the morning commute may be a nasty one. Right there's at 15, so that's right at the end of the rush hour period. And if this one verifies, then you can definitely see how it's going to be bringing a bunch of ice and make for a nasty commute over the center part of Bear County as well as most of the county. So of course everything's going to see. We're going to have to watch everything develop overnight. We'll be on as situations warrant, and we'll go ahead and update you in the early morning through our tweets as well as any information coming out of the weather service.
And then just finally, if I'm not mistaken, most, if not all, the city and county offices are closed. So it really, unless you absolutely have to be at work or have to do something, we cannot stress enough that if you're just better off just staying home if you can, and let this weather activity and event pass. There's just no reason to risk your lives or anything for something that can maybe wait a day or two. Schools, for the most part, are closed. Colleges have pretty much gone to online formats. So, again, unless you have a major emergency or something like that, we highly suggest you stay home. Unless there's any questions, I don't see anything come in. I hope you guys enjoyed our live presentation. Hopefully, it was informative. And if necessary, we'll come back if we need to for any updates that are warranted. But meanwhile, we'll just continue our tweets, and we thank you for support. Stay warm and stay home.
You're watching Bear County Severe Weather live.